America goes into Iraq, does a whole military occupation of Iraq, leaves Iraq, and the fanatics take over Iraq. America goes into Afghanistan to fight the fanatics. Guess what happens? America leaves Afghanistan, and the fanatics come back and they take over Afghanistan, and the Taliban is now running Afghanistan. So America went into Germany to stop the fanatics. They're militarily occupying Germany. But what's happening right now? America is literally enabling the German Taliban, the militarists, the Nazis. What happened when Trump was first president? His administration was doing the Doha talks with the Taliban. All of a sudden, the Taliban are okay. It's all bullshit. It's not about morals. It's not about principles. It's all about what is advantageous. Is it advantageous for us to support Nazis? Well, we can use them as a proxy against the Russians. It's advantageous. And you read AP News, New York Times, and it says 400 people dead in Gaza. Boom, like that. 400 people dead, like that. Boom. Over 130 of them children. Dead, just like that. Dead. And I'm thinking, how in the hell can someone not go insane? It's funny how Trump was the one to warn about German militarism, and I quote, "Be careful of what you wish for," but he pushed for it. Exactly. Yes, absolutely. Trump was pushing for German militarism during his first term. And then while he was in political exile in 2022 or 2023, he does this interview with this Zoomer podcast show. And he said in this interview exactly what you said. He said, hey, Germany's rising up. It's not good. Look at World War I. Look at World War II. Be careful what you wish for.
Germany has now agreed to rebuild their military. And they've decided that they're going to go all out and they're going to now rebuild their military. Be careful what you wish for.
Why is that?
Well, take a look over the last two world wars. Take a look over the last two world wars with Germany. There is a theory out there that Germany should not be rebuilding their military so much. And Japan is now going to rebuild their military. Just be careful what you wish for, because a lot of bad things have happened with those two countries and their military.
And I'm thinking, dude, during your whole first term, you were pushing for that. During your entire first term. And he was trying to blame it on Biden. During your first term, you were pushing for this. Be careful what you wish for. This has been my biggest problem with the whole Trump administration. And this is what I hate about the Trump administration. This is like when Obama was talking about the dangers of Islamic terrorism, but we all know for a fact that the Obama administration was arming Islamic terrorists. And that's the thing. I was thinking about this last night. America goes into Iraq, does a whole military occupation of Iraq, leaves Iraq, and the fanatics take over Iraq. America goes into Afghanistan to fight the fanatics. Guess what happens? America leaves Afghanistan, and the fanatics come back and they take over Afghanistan, and the Taliban is now running Afghanistan. So America went into Germany to stop the fanatics. They're militarily occupying Germany. But what's happening right now? America is literally enabling the German Taliban, the militarists, the Nazis. And you had J.D. Vance going to the Munich Security Council, verbally supporting the AfD. And you have Elon Musk, who is a part of the U.S. government now, explicitly supporting the AfD, which is an ultranationalist Hitlerian party. And it's ran by a bunch of Nazis. So what America did in Afghanistan, what America did in Iraq, America is doing to Germany. That's what's happening. America will go into a country to fight fanatics, only to later empower those very fanatics. Do you still think Trump was better choice, though, versus Kamala? This is a difficult question. It's basically pick your poison. Under Kamala Harris, the bullshit in Ukraine probably would have still went on. And that's not good. Under Trump, we're seeing exactly what I thought was going to happen. And that is America pushing for German militarism. And that's also a huge problem. No matter how you look at it, it's problematic. It's like in Turkey. Well, you have Islamists and then you have secularists. Which one is better? Well, I mean, ask the Armenians that. Because when the secular, I have difficulty saying this word, I don't know why. When the secularists took over the Ottoman Empire, that's when the Ottoman Empire became its most murderous. And under Trump, what we have is the United States pushing for very dangerous militarism in East Asia with the Japanese and in Europe with the Germans. We are literally living in an era where literally everything is right in the open. Everything is right in the open. People don't try to hide a damn thing anymore. They used to say, 9/11 was done by Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda are the bad guys. They're the bad guys. And then what happens after Assad? So that was in 2001, right? They were giving us the bullshit. And what the fuck did I know? I was 12 years old. I didn't know shit. I was 11 years old, in fact, when 9/11 happened. I didn't know shit. Oh, who did this? Who did it? Oh, Al-Qaeda did it. Oh, Al-Qaeda, fuck those guys. And then America says Al-Qaeda is the big bad enemy. Fast forward. So that was in 2001? 2001, right? Fast forward to 2025. And what happened? 2024, what happened? Bashar al-Assad gets overthrown and Al-Qaeda takes over. Freaking HTS, which is just an Al-Qaeda offshoot, takes over. And you see freaking politicians from Germany meeting with this dude. We see that woman, Miss Baerbock, whatever her last name is from Germany, trying to shake freaking an Al-Qaeda offshoot operative, trying to shake the hand of an Al-Qaeda offshoot operative named Mr. Al-Jilani, Mr. Al-Shara, whatever his name is. We see the French celebrating the fact that Al-Qaeda took over. We read about the Israelis not only celebrating the overthrow of Bashar al-Assad, but taking credit for it. And we read about how the Israelis were giving money to friggin' Jabhat al-Nusra, which is no different than Al-Qaeda. HTS became Jabhat al-Nusra. So the Israelis funded the takeover of Syria by HTS. Netanyahu does a speech saying, I take credit for this. This is amazing. Wait, what the fuck happened to all this bullshit about Al-Qaeda? Answer, it was all bullshit to begin with. We were being lied to to begin with, we were being lied to. It was all bullshit. Al-Qaeda is the big bad guy. Taliban is the big bad guy. Who's running Afghanistan now after $1 trillion is wasted in Afghanistan? After all these thousands of Americans killed in Afghanistan? After all these civilians murdered in Afghanistan by American soldiers? And yes, American soldiers did fucking atrocities in Afghanistan. Let's not pretend that shit didn't happen. And atrocities done in Iraq. Who's running Afghanistan? The Taliban. The fucking Taliban. And then the Americans went into World War II saying, we're going to fight the Nazis. Then they defeat the Nazis with the help of the Russians, of course. Then the Russians and the Americans do a military occupation of the Germans. The Soviet Union falls in the early 90s. The Russians are pushed out. The Americans are now the sole military occupier of Germany. And what do the fucking Americans do? JD fucking Vance goes to Munich and he says, I support the AFD, support the AFD. Elon Musk says, I support the AFD. AFD is a successor to the Nazis. So just like America went into Afghanistan, defeated the Taliban, occupied Afghanistan, and then empowered the Taliban, the United States went into Germany, defeated the Nazis, occupied Germany, and now the Americans are empowering the Nazis. It is the cycle of fucking life for American foreign policy. It's surreal. It is so surreal, guys. I'm like literally I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone, just seeing all this shit. Israel gives money to Hamas. Israel facilitates the funding of Hamas through Qatar. Qatar is the biggest funder of Hamas. Qatar is the bad guy. Hamas is the bad guy. But you guys were helping them. And now they're the bad guy. Oh, I see. So you made a boogeyman, so you have a reason to go into Gaza. And you can do your little weird LARPer settlement expansionism. It's insane. Plot twist. Yeah, plot twist after. It is like, oh my God. It's like watching a movie, right? It's like watching a movie. And you think the director of the film does a great job in deceiving the audience. You think that that one guy is the good guy because the film has done certain things in the scenes to make you think that this guy is the good guy. And it's like that meme. Holy shit. It's like that meme where the guy said, wait, you were the bad guy all along? And the guy has a gun pointed on his head and says, always have been. Boom. That is the horror story that is American foreign policy. America has always been the head of the snake. It has always been the head of the snake. America goes into Germany in World War I, defeats the Germans, and it's very fascinating. What America did to the Germans is similar to what they did to the Iraqis. They go into Iraq, they defeat Saddam Hussein, then they bring the Iraqis democracy. And who do the Iraqis vote for? They vote for some Shiite guy who's pro-Iran, whatever. Democracy failed in Iraq. It was bullshit. But the Americans tried some similar stuff in Germany. They went into Germany, they defeated the Kaiser, then the Americans said, under Woodrow Wilson, they said, time for democracy to be in Germany. And so they said, the German people need democracy. They're barbarians. They've been barbarians since they were the Goths when they were overrunning Rome. They were always tribal, whatever. They need democracy. We got to temper these people with democracy, right? With democracy. Oh, okay, so they gave them democracy, overthrew the Kaiser, gave them a democracy. Now the German people are going to vote. And who did the fucking Germans vote for eventually? Somebody worse than the Kaiser. Let's be real here. Hitler was a lot worse than the Kaiser Wilhelm II. So democracy was used as a way to destroy democracy. This is the problem with democracy. I've said this before. Democracy is only possible when people are moral. If people are not moral, you cannot have democracy. You need a king. The reason why you had monarchies was because the people were way too wild. Truly, if you read about medieval Europe, all these kings, right? King of France, King of England, King of Spain. Why are all these countries under kings? Because if they took the king out, all those people would start butchering each other. Because let's be real here. When monarchy was just an extension of tribalism. So before Europe got civilization, it was under tribes, right? It was all tribes, and each tribe had a clan leader. Okay, so then fast forward to later on, all of a sudden these European peoples have kings, and it's not tribes anymore. It's various European regions united as various countries, France, England, Spain, and now they have kings. Well, the king basically was just a giant clan leader. You take the king out, they all start killing each other. If you don't believe me, if you think it was all just like, oh yes, we love the king, civilization, we love monarchy. If you really think that's what it was, my friends, just look up the War of the Roses. Go look up the War of the Roses. You had, oh my God, the fucking English I should stop saying the F word. They were fighting the French for over 100 years. It was like 116 years or something like that of straight up warfare. Raping, pillaging, stealing, mass murder, massacres, right? I mean, the English did it. The English at one point in time were what the Germans were during World War II. They were. The English were the king of the jungle. They had the what do they call it? The longbow. That was like the nuclear bomb of the Middle Ages. So America dropped the nuke on Japan and said, we got the bomb. We dropped the big boy on Japan. We're the king of the jungle. So the French were the king of the jungle. They had the armor, and the French had this philosophy that if you just have a giant army of 35,000 men and you got them all plated up like tanks, you could literally beat anyone. And that was true to a certain point. But the English said, nah, we got the longbow. That was the nuclear bomb. So here are the French. They're so confident. The French were so confident that they go right into England and they just start killing people. Literally, no joke. They go right into England, just start butchering people at random. The English say, okay, France, you want to play that game? They had the longbow. The French didn't know about the longbow. Oh, they didn't. The Frenchies were in for a big surprise. See, people don't talk about this stuff. The Frenchies were in for a surprise. They thought the English, they are like pussies. They're not going to do anything. What are you talking about? See, they didn't realize that the English had God knows how many years of experience of warfare fighting the Scottish. And if you could fight the Scottish and beat the Scots, let me tell you something, you could sure as hell beat some Frenchies. Because them Scottish people were very fierce warriors. The Romans couldn't take over Scotland. They couldn't take over Scotland. So the English had all this experience. They were fighting Scottish barbarians over there up in the north. And they were fighting, the English were using the longbow. So the English had experience. They go, okay, you sure you want a piece of this, France? England goes into France and they just raise hell. So the French are like, okay, so the King of France says, okay, I'm going to get an army, 35,000 men, something like that, massive army, all tanked up, plated up. There's no way we're going to lose. There's no way. We'll have crossbowmen from Milan. There's no way we're going to lose. They lost. Not only did they lose in the battle of the Battle of Crécy, they lost in the Battle of Poitiers. They lost in all these battles, epic battles. Battle of Agincourt, Battle of Crécy. And the English proved that even when you're outnumbered, you can still win. So the French get their asses whooped over and over and over and over and over again. That's the 100 Years' War. If you ever make a trip, listen, if you're talking to your French friends, be kind and don't bring this up with them. But the Frenchies for 100 years were getting their asses whooped. Joan of Arc came and they got some inspiration. The English killed her. They got rid of her. She was no longer a threat. So the English eventually lose. And the reason why the English lose is because the French invented a better weapon called the cannon. And they made a big cannon and they made a little cannon, little mini cannons, kind of like little muskets. And they defeated the English. So the English lost. So what happens? What happens as the English are getting their asses whooped and the English are declining and everything's declining? What happens? Now there is an argument over who's going to be the real king of England. Is it going to be the House of Lancaster? Or is it going to be the House of York? And a freaking civil war breaks out called the War of the Roses. And it lasts for years. Tribal warfare, families killing families. The same shit happened in France during the 100 Years' War. You had the different houses, the house of this versus the house of that. I don't remember their names, but they were butchering each other in the middle of Paris. So what's my whole point? My point is the monarchies of Europe were really just an amplified version of the clan leaders that the Europeans had in antiquity. You took those monarchies out, they would all kill each other. Like that. The French were killing each other because the King of France went crazy. He went nuts. So they were like, who's going to rule? This guy's crazy. He can't rule. The dude went on a hunting trip, murders his friends during the hunting trip. And they say he lost his damn mind. I think he got possessed by a demon. But they say he lost his mind. So he's bedridden. He's crazy. You didn't know when he was going to go become violent. It was crazy. Crazy ass times, right? So then what happened? The brother of the King of France and I think the nephew of the King of France start arguing who's going to be the ruler. And then their friends all start killing each other. The whole thing escalates into a big-ass civil war in France. So the reason why you have a monarchy is because the people are not moral enough to actually vote for their own interests. That's the bottom line. Monarchy is a sign of... It's a sign that people need a leader to tell them what's good for them. That's what a monarchy is. So they say, okay, monarchy is bad, dictatorship is bad, blah, 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 right? Take out Saddam Hussein, what happens? Iraqis all start killing each other. And then you have these people who come along and you say, look, the Iraqis are animals. They're all killing each other. Well, guess what? By that logic, the Europeans are also animals because they were doing the same shit in the Middle Ages. That's a side issue, though. You give people democracy. If they're lunatics, they're going to vote for a Hitler. Bottom line. Democracy is self-defeating when people are not moral enough. If people are moral enough, if people are united in moral interests and principles, give them democracy. Go forth. You give them democracy, they say, oh, I can vote for whoever I want. Yeah, you can vote for the politicians that you guys like. Oh, okay. We're going to vote for politicians who represent our principles. And those politicians will be elected. Once you have moral decline and people don't give a shit about laws, Democracy will eventually just die, and then you will be under a dictatorship. Hell, I would not be surprised that one day America, if it survives this long, will be under a dictatorship. I can totally see this happening because look how divided we are. You got states that hate police officers, states that love cops, states that want infanticide / abortion, states that are against it. So there's no unity in principles, nothing. You have for example, the state of New Mexico. What the fuck is the purpose of New Mexico? Why is it even there? I mean, really, New Mexico should just be transformed into a giant farm field, and then you can take in Mexican people, and they could do the farm, and then they could New Mexico can produce a lot of the food for the rest of the country. Like that would be a legitimate purpose for New Mexico. Other than that, what is the purpose of New Mexico? Maybe you can test out nuclear bombs over there. I don't know what the purpose of New Mexico is, but it's a state that hates God. I'm gonna say it. It's a state that hates God and that hates cops. It is one of the most, if not the most godless state in all of America. People say, oh no, that's California, that's whatever. No, New Mexico. You can literally sue the police force in New Mexico. The cops are so restrained over there. Why? Because they love criminality and they love lawlessness. Okay, I hate New Mexico. I went there one time. But it's like, what kind of a country is this where a cop kills a murderous, violent criminal and the cop is hated? This is not a moral society. So I can totally see one day America either just balkanizing or just becoming a dictatorship. I could totally see it. What happened with Rome? Rome was a republic, and then all of a sudden Rome becomes a dictatorship. Why did it become a dictatorship? Because the Romans were too immoral for democracy. They were too immoral to actually vote for their own interest. So eventually Rome became what? It became a dictatorship. You had the Caesars. So America goes into Germany. They say, okay, we're going to overthrow the Kaiser. We're going to give these people democracy. They vote for Hitler. America goes back there with the help of the Russians. They defeat the Nazis. Then they occupy Germany. And then now what are the Americans doing? The Nazis are now the good guys. What happened when Trump was first president? His administration was doing the Doha talks with the Taliban. All of a sudden, the Taliban are okay. It's all bullshit. It's not about morals. It's not about principles. It's all about what is advantageous. Is it advantageous for us to support Nazis? Well, we can use them as a proxy against the Russians. It's advantageous. Bottom line. Bottom freaking line. Why do Middle Eastern people already start yelling? Why do non-Middle Eastern people not yell? How could you not be passionate about this topic, looking at all the crazy circumstances there? Anyway, there's no point in even... you think it's funny? It's the Mediterranean... temperament is what it is. I honestly, if I don't raise my voice during a stream, I feel like it is a very unfulfilling stream. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Last week I did a stream and I don't think I raised my voice ever during the whole stream, and I turned the camera off, feeling empty inside. I said, "Oh my gosh, that was a very unfulfilling stream." It was a fun stream, don't get me wrong, but it was unfulfilling because there was no passion. It's got to be passion. You got to have emotion behind everything. Let's see. Russia, Ukraine really got to me with all the young men killed. Oh, it's insane. Like, you look at these wars and you read about 1 million people dead. You read about the greatest humanitarian crisis in the world happening right now in Sudan. People starving. You read about... I was looking at the news, and you read AP News, New York Times, and it says 400 people dead in Gaza. Boom, like that. 400 people dead, like that. Boom. Over 130 of them children. Dead. Just like that. Dead. And I'm thinking, how in the hell can someone not go insane? And here's the thing is, I try to enjoy life. I'll look at my garden, I look at the plants, I say, oh, I really love what I'm seeing, and oh, look, this plant is growing well, and this plant is growing well, and I'm really happy to see this, and the weather is amazing, and look how great life is. And then I look at my phone, and I read the news, and it says 400 people in Gaza dead in one moment. 130 children dead in one moment. ceasefire broken. And I'm thinking, how can I enjoy the little things in life knowing that in some other part of the world, people don't have this liberty to enjoy the little things in life? People are just fighting to have the little things in life. They're struggling just to have those little things in life. Very basic elemental necessities. It's absolutely crazy. It's like how I have difficulty just enjoying the little things in life. Oh, I bake a loaf of bread. Oh, the loaf of bread looks great. But somebody in Gaza, somebody in Sudan doesn't have that liberty just to bake a loaf of bread. Somebody in Sudan, where you have the biggest humanitarian crisis in the world, can't have the liberty of just baking a loaf of bread and enjoying the bread. So I'm thinking how it goes back to that Jewish saying. There's a saying in the Talmud: to murder one life is as if you've murdered the whole world. And you could say, well, that's crazy. How is that possible? How is it possible that if you murder one life, you've murdered the whole world? It says it's as if you have murdered the whole world. It's a very powerful statement, and it's kind of difficult for me to describe the profoundness of the statement. But if we all truly believed that we are all interconnected as one human family, and we hear about hundreds of people being butchered, 1 million Russians and Ukrainians dead because fucking NATO wanted to mess with Russia's backyard. When you read all these things and you see how indifferent these countries are to human life, you think, I have difficulty just enjoying the little things of life. Because I know that somewhere else, someone can't enjoy these very nice little things, like a garden or a recipe or a sourdough bread. And so if we all just had this mentality, we would think very differently about the actions that we see being done, which lead to the deaths of so many people. If we actually believed that if you take one life away, it is as if you have murdered the whole world. If we actually believed that, we wouldn't have these sorts of murderous policies and agendas. If you take one human life, it's as if you have murdered the whole world. Because once you nonchalantly just murder people and you're unstoppable, then you break this cohesion that is in humanity. And you look at the suffering and you say, well, who am I to enjoy the little things if these people can't enjoy the little things? You know, and it goes back to that saying, injustice to one person is an injustice to all. You can't have so-called justice in one area and then deny justice to other people. If you give justice to one group of people, but deny justice to another group of people because they're a part of that group that you don't like, then you don't have justice. That's injustice. By definition, that's injustice. That's a case system. Do unto others. Yes, that's not a healthy way of living. Your mind can't afford to feel bad. I mean, you're right. You are absolutely right. It is not healthy. And that's why I say it's a struggle for me, in all honesty. One person killed in battle and generations have been wiped out. Absolutely, 100%. We, with our first world problems and that seem so complicated until you remember that people are fighting for life every day. Yep, absolutely. Has there ever existed a time in human history when humanity was not tried killing each other? Yeah, you're absolutely right. Human history is just a series of endless wars and genocides. Yep, it's very heartbreaking. It's depressing. There was a French philosopher, I forgot his name, but he wrote a book about the insanity of life. I think one day I'll try to read it. But he basically said that we have this conception in our heads of normal life, right? We have this conception in our heads of normalcy. And when something crazy happens, or when something happens that's out of the normal, that's out of the norm, and shocks us, we think, oh, wow, this world is going crazy. What this French philosopher did was he flipped the tables. He flipped the script on the person who thinks that the world is crazy. He says, no, you're crazy for thinking that the world is crazy. Actually, I think it was something more to the likes of, you're crazy for being shocked at how crazy the world is. Because the world is innately crazy, and the world is innately chaotic and capricious, so that when something bad happens, the fact that we are getting shocked by this is unto itself crazy, because true normalcy, the true norm of human life, is chaos and craziness and capriciousness. And so therefore, to better our own mental health, we should actually just accept that the world is chaotic and crazy, and accept that that is actually the norm. This is what this French philosopher essentially wrote. People try to justify war by claiming it's to protect future generations, but if the war was started on false pretext, then there's no point. Look at medieval history. 100 Years' War, War of the Roses, this war, parliamentarians versus monarchists. Just medieval history going on into Renaissance history. It's just war, war, war. Oh, we had 100 Years' War between France and England. 1 million people died. Let's continue it on. War of the Roses. Oh, we had millions of people die in the 30 Years' War. Let's continue on with a war between France and Spain. This is going to sound kind of insensitive, but this is an analogy that I have in my head, if you will. It's like when I play the video game Medieval 2 Total War Medieval 2, which is a great game, by the way. Very good game, very fun game. And you have your little empire, and then you have to face off all the other empires. You got to face the Austro-Hungarians, the Mongolians, the Timurids, the Ottomans, the English, the French, the Spanish. You got the Milanese. You got to face off all these people. And so you have to train armies, and it takes a long time in the game, not in the game itself, but not in the gameplay, but in the story itself. It takes a long time to train a bunch of soldiers. It takes 2 years to train every unit of soldiers that you recruit. So if you want to recruit a bunch of peasant militiamen or town militiamen, it takes 2 years. And so you say, okay, I want to recruit these soldiers. You hit the little button, and then it says, okay, 2 years later, boom. And then by then it's the year whatever, and the soldiers are there. They're ready to go. So the soldiers are ready to go, and then the Mongolians come, or the Timurids come. And you're like, okay, I got a few thousand soldiers from this little Italian city. I'm going to park them right here somewhere in the Middle East or somewhere in Anatolia, and that will protect me from... That will protect my kingdom from the Mongolians or the Timurids. Then the Timurids come, and they have armies of horse archers, and they have literally an army of elephants, and on top of each elephant is a cannon. And you got your little 5,000 guys, or your little 2,000 man army, and they get utterly slaughtered because they don't know how to fight elephants. They don't have the correct weaponry to deal with elephants. They got crossbows or bows and arrows, and the elephants are just stampeding over your guys, blasting your guys. There's just no way. There's just no way. So your guys all die. And you go, okay, all my guys died. What am I going to do? Recruit more soldiers. This time, recruit 5,000 soldiers. Recruit way more soldiers. And you just throw them into the meat grinder. That's a video game. In a video game, it's totally cool because it's a video game. But these people are doing this sort of thing in real life. Just throwing people into the meat grinder. More people, more people, more people, more people. It never fucking ends.